Alright, so this is the ARM workstation. I've been using it for a while, and earlier I had an issue where it was basically unusable as a workstation, which was that the USB hub, it needed a very specific one. The UEFI bus didn't really understand, and yes, this is a proper ARM workstation. There's an AMD uh, Seattle chipset in there, 8 core Cortex A57s, and then you have two sticks of 8 gigs, 8 gigs each, so 16 gigs total. I can add more RDIMMs, and for now I have a placeholder HD 4350, but in reality I was running mostly with the uh, GT 710 from Nvidia, and that is what we're going to change today. So the Nvidia drivers are bad on x86 Linux. They have started to push or release ARM 64 versions of their closed source drivers, and that doesn't really work. Like, I've tried, like I have clips on clips of clips, me debugging them for hours, and they don't really work. And I'm not that interested in it. The Novio driver, which is the reverse engineering effort that a lot of community and mostly people from Red Hat are doing, with no involvement from Nvidia whatsoever. That I love that project for what it does and how far it has come, but it's not mature at all. Like, I've always had issues with it. Not to blame the developers of the project, like they are doing an awesome job. And like I've talked to a few of them personally, and they're amazing people, but it's just Nvidia's fault that they hate the Linux ecosystem so much, that there is even the closed source driver for x86 doesn't really follow the whole Linux driver subsystem for graphics properly, and it ends up just being a pain in the ass, and that's why you don't have Wayland and stuff like that working properly on Nvidia drivers. So yeah, I wanted something AMD and I wanted something new, so I did end up buying some of that. And if you've seen the title of this video, yes, it is a RX580. That should work just fine. You know, again, this CPU in itself, it's old. It's from 2016, and also it's like a Cortex A50 series, so it's not going to be a gaming beast by any means, but it should at least get me everything in the graphics department working from the graphics driver point of view, and then I can narrow down any bugs I find to the ARC64 architecture, and that the builds weren't done properly. So of course the RX580, if you know, is sort of a power consumption based ish thing. So I have the Sapphire one, and so that means that we will be adding a new power supply, and this is the Corsair 550 watt, kind of overkill, but this is the cheapest thing you can get. Like, you don't get a 400 watt power supply, which guarantees 400 watt, but here it is. There's nothing, no 80 plus, nothing something like that. It's just run of the mill. Yeah, so we'll change that. I won't be running cables at the back, because I know for a fact that regular ATX power supply cables don't reach here, and actually this is where the 24 pin power cable connects on this particular board. And as you can see, I have an extension for a cheaper power supply, but with the newer power supply you don't require that extension, but also um, you don't really get to uh, wind your way through the back of it. So everything will be in front. There will be some cable nets down here that I'll try to control as much as I can, but for the time being, disconnect everything, and we'll add the new power supply followed by the GPU. Here's the PSU. VS550 should be good enough. The CPU itself doesn't consume anything, like there's not even a CPU power plug to be used. So it's just on this, and this will be installed like so, with the fan facing downwards, so that the PSU heat doesn't interfere. Let's see how that fits. Everything back in. So here is our RX 580. A driver disc which no one ever uses. I don't know why they still provide it. Manuals and stuff, again mostly with the AMD closed source drivers and stuff to be used with. Here's the big honking graphic card. Side a bubble wrap, and there you go, shiny. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, so looks pretty cool. It is a 580, but I wonder why it has only 2 heat pipes. It was supposed to have 4, so maybe it is a light version. So anyway, we'll see how the performance is. And again, I'm not going for performance, I'm just going for darn decent drivers. So whatever I have works, and I'll use that. So this is one of it. So yeah, so I have 2 DisplayPort and 2 HDMI, which fit perfectly for what I need. I have removed the 2 slots from here, so this should be easy to place. I don't know if the SATA cables are going to be an issue, so I'm just going to gently remove them for now. And yeah, the black backplate kind of looks amazing. They have a nice backplate design. Actually, let's see if I can give you a full look at the backplate. Yep, there it is. So that seems to be in place, and there it goes. Yeah, I need to see the clearance at the bottom. All of the debug ports are gone. I mean, they are inaccessible. They're not like touching anything, but they are pretty inaccessible. That's not going to be a problem. I don't use those ports at all, and it's like it's touching any metallic part anywhere. Push comes to serve, I can always like add an extension, but then it also becomes like a 1x link instead of 4x. Right, let's screw this in. So that should be nice and secure. Okay, let's start with the 24 pin one, because that's a huge boy. So the locking is on the other side, so I'll have to go like this. Oops. seems to be okay for the most part. Not sure if I should, do something about the sag, but looks fine to me. The PCIe 8-pin connector. Okay, that's in. That should stay here. So yeah, that works fine. All we need is 2 SATAs, 3 SATAs, maybe a Molex. If that thing exists, I'll have to get a converter. Alright, so we have 1 SATA for here, and I'll need a Molex and a SATA. I'll just do them separately. So alright, so here it is, my ARM workstation now with a Sapphire graphics card. Because why not? So I guess I should power it on, test it, and come back and show you guys how it works. Alright, so here it is. It's working. I have the fan spinning and everything. Down here, take a look. I don't know if it's visible, but the most important part, it is actually works. Like, there's no doubt there. So if I go into demos and play it, and that should work just fine. This is more or less, I think I have disabled that, but it's the 90 FPS is more or less like a virtual limit. But anyway, if I even exit out of here and I run something like GL Mark 2, see if that I have someone, and you can see that works absolutely fine. And I'm not sure about like 100% sure of what the performance should be, but this looks right. And I'll get back with some more benchmarks and like a proper GL Mark 2 run and see where all of that goes.